Hey everyone, welcome back to the Be Student, and I'm here with a brand new video for you guys. I'm here, and I'm here with my mom, Stacy, and we are gonna be recapping and reviewing When Close the Heart Season 8, Episode 2, titled Honestly, Elizabeth. Thanks for joining me.
Hey guys.
So last night we watched the episode live, which was very exciting, and it'll be fun to be able to do that each Sunday night, our treat to look forward to. So, overall, what did you think of the episode?
I enjoyed it. After we watched it last night, we kind of talked about how we weren't sure if we liked it as well as episode one, but I definitely enjoyed it. It's always a fun, relaxing show to watch.
In my opinion, I think they did a good job with it. There were some parts that maybe felt a little bit like maybe not needed, but I think that the characters still had their development. Some funny moments too, I thought, and we'll get to those in a second. But we're gonna be saving the love triangle for last. So I thought a good place to start is Fiona's new business. So she is opening up called Nickels and Dimes is the store, correct?
Yes, a barber shop.
So a barbershop. And everyone's at like Gowan and is they're all hesitant. Which I don't not sure if Gowan should judge based on his criminal record.
Yeah. Well, it's so funny because they're like a woman opening a barber shop. So it just kind of makes you realize what it might have been like in those times for women. It was just unheard of that a woman would open a barber shop.
Well,
So
that is one reference that I'm glad that they took to like back then because that's one of my flaws with the show
yeah.
recently is how it doesn't really seem like it takes place like 19 whatever something in the 1910s. So they're all hesitant because of that, and then Fiona decides to go with it, and Hickam is her first customer, and she starts talking. Hiccup makes fun of the name, kind of like mocks it as he's trying to understand it, and then Fiona kind of goes on, and then Hickam decides that he doesn't necessarily want his haircut, and then he turns his ear, and Fiona accidentally cuts it. So then he runs out of the store, which I thought was pretty funny because he thought his ear was gone.
Yeah, that was funny.
So what did you think of that?
I thought that was hilarious. I mean, just the fact that he came in because he lost a bet. So he was the one that had to do it first. I mean, just the whole fact that not all of the men are hesitant because she's a woman. And just how shocking that would be compared to today's day and times. Just
And
funny.
like man got embarrassed. Maybe I think that for her to see that like I think she might have been a little bit frustrated. Maybe frustrated is not the right word, but I think she might have been a little bit crushed / disappointed with the way they were acting. Because like last episode, she kind of said, I can do the business that I want to do, regardless of what people think. And she's receiving complaints now, and I think she just has to deal with that as like one of the flaws of her business. But by the end, Jesse and Faith volunteered Carson and Jesse.
Yeah, get
To
volunteered to get theirs cut. Yeah, and the thing I like about Fiona is, she could have been like, oh, no, I'm not, I'm a failure and just kind of given up. But no, she has this spunk about her, and she's going to show that she's this independent woman and she can do anything a man can do. And I like seeing that in her and in this show.
That's something I think that the show needs. Kind of replacing Abigail, I think, in a way. I mean, I don't necessarily I think Abigail added something to the show that I don't think Fiona can ever do, but I still think that she adds a good amount to the story and how that standing up for herself kind of thing, and that she's not afraid, even though these people are being a little bit questionable. Speaking of Gowan, he's kind of getting back to his old self, which every other season it feels like he's getting better, and then he becomes worse. And I think that I think I get where they're coming from, how you kind of have to have that because it's his character, but I kind of want him to go to the good side, and maybe they do have he does have a conversation with Lucas about their oil. Gowan Petroleum, I think is the name, and Lucas now has all rights to it. And Gowan kind of wants them to get back to a partnership. He says that Lucas probably hasn't been doing good without him. probably worse than with him. So that'll be interesting to see if they kind of get back to those roots,
Yeah.
because they kind of definitely ended things off with not a good relationship between the two of them, because Lucas had high standards, but it was also Gowan, like he wasn't stable enough, and this episode proved that he's definitely not stable, because he accused Ned of opening a letter that he was writing to somebody. We never got who the letter was from.
But
Who was
obviously, it
writing.
must have been up to he must have been up to no good and just his old ways. So whether that comes to fruition or that's just kind of helping us see where he's at right now,
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
And then he kind of like falls outside of the mercantile, so that just proves that it's health issues and
Yeah.
everything, and that'll just be interesting to like see like what will happen with him, because I think that this story I think needs to get resolved, because I would just rather see Gowan become a better guy, in my
Definitely.
opinion. And it's not like his health issues are really severe. It's like
Yeah.
exhaustion, I guess.
We'll see.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to
Yeah.
see like what that leads to. Okay. And then Joseph Canfield is a new member of Hope Valley, and he's just kind of like around this episode and like helping people out. He buys the land that Bill is selling, because Bill doesn't necessarily need it anymore. What do you think of Joseph?
He seems like a really genuine person, and I'm looking forward to his character developing. And as we know, he has a wife and 2 children, so looking forward to seeing what they add to the scene on Hope Valley.
I think that'll be exciting, and like, his character, it seems like he'll be involved in like the business side of things. I
Yes.
think so. That'll be interesting to like see like what happens there.
Yeah, it looked like he might want to buy the gas station, so that would be cool to see how that goes.
Yeah, and then Rosemary and Lee Indris is back, which you mentioned wasn't necessarily needed.
Well, it was
I mean,
comical actually. Just the whole thing was kind of comical, but yeah. But the thing that I think was really cool about the whole Rosemary and more Rosemary than Lee was just the yearning that we see, and we've talked about this quite a bit with her, and you might want to elaborate more on that if you can.
yeah, well, she brings up once again how she hears Baby Jack at night from across,
Yeah.
and she wishes that she had someone a little bit close to her.
Yeah.
And like I think that that's something that I'm hoping this season they begin to wrestle with. Now I thought, based on the synopsis, they said like with a newcomer's arrival, Rosemary begins to focus on what she wants in life. I'm not sure who that newcomer.
Yeah.
I
don't
mean,
know.
and I mean Joseph and Rosemary had like a little interaction, but I don't know. Maybe the synopsis sometimes are misleading, so I guess I don't have to think too much about that. But like I think that it definitely it's starting to come to our attention more and more, and her and Lee will probably have some conversations about that, and that'll be definitely interesting to see, because it's an obstacle. It's an obstacle for the couple that I think that is needed. So I'm excited to see that story.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about the love triangle. We're going to talk about Team Lucas. So Helen Bouchard is in. Well, before I begin, the Bill and Molly romance is in the beginning works, I think, because Molly kind of embarrasses herself in front of Bill and Helen talking. And and then Molly is now going to be playing hard to get because she thinks that she embarrassed herself. So that'll be interesting to like see because she's kind of interested in Bill, and like Bill will have to decide if he's interested in her, which will be something fun, I think, to explore. Would you agree?
It will be, and the whole idea that Bill was just so clueless, and Helen had to say, "Hey, you got someone who's jealous there who likes you," and Bill's like, "What? Huh?" Was just pretty hilarious. But and then once she realized she embarrassed herself, then she's gonna play like, "Oh, don't flatter yourself, Bill." So it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
So
And then so Helen is first kind of harsh with Elizabeth over her writing. And then they eventually kind of like have like more of a close relationship. I think that'll be interesting to see, especially if their future daughter-in-law, which based on the end of this episode is kind of leading
makes you think
leading that
maybe.
way, because Elizabeth and Lucas. Now I do like that their moments so far. I mean, they're like sweet, I think, and like Lucas portray. I think Lucas is definitely ready more than Nathan to be a suitor for Elizabeth at this point. I think that he is in a better position right now, especially based on the end of what happened at the end of the episode. But I think that he's ready to be a husband, for instance. He has the resources in hand, and he has a heart for Elizabeth. Would you agree?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, I still, I don't know if we're going to talk about Nathan and
Yeah,
what
we'll
happened
we'll
there.
talk about that
Okay.
in a
So,
second.
yeah. I mean, there's still both contenders for sure, but yeah, this episode kind of makes you lean towards Lucas for sure.
And Lucas asks Elizabeth to go out to dinner with him and his mom, and she declines. So they're all asking her out for dinner, but she keeps declining.
Yeah.
So I wonder. I don't know what her reasoning was there.
I
But
think she's just confused.
yeah, and based on what happened at the end of the episode, and I was not expecting this at all. But like Nathan arrives and he cares about her. He pretty much admits it. Elizabeth says, "I get that you're sensing something more than friendship," which has kind of been the point all along.
Yeah.
And then they kind of start a little bit of an argument. Kind of, I think it was very emotional though. Like he Elizabeth brings up the hug, which I'm glad that she did, and she says that she felt scared, and like when she thought that he got shot, and how she thought that she lost him.
Yeah.
And then he starts to say like, "I'll quit the Mounties for you. I'll give it my whole life for you." And Elizabeth won't allow him to do that. And he says, "I promise that nothing will happen." And she's like, "You don't have the right to promise me that," which I get what she's saying. Like, I don't necessarily think that he does have the right to promise her that, considering of what Mounties are going through. And if he promises her that, then it's probably there's a chance, and then that would break Elizabeth's heart. So
Yeah.
would you agree that he doesn't have the right to promise that?
Well, because yeah, I mean anything could happen, and he doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't have control over what could happen to him in his job as a Mountie. I mean, he wants to because obviously in this episode, he professes his love and he's ready to give up everything for her, and she's not willing to let him do that. But she can't see going through again what she went through with Jack because that just nearly broke her completely. So
I think it shows that Nathan. I think that there's going to be some more definitely awkward tension. I feel like they're playing Nathan more, I think, but Lucas is like the one that like is like kind of like rising, but like I think that they're giving Nathan these bigger moments, I think, and they're giving Lucas the smaller moments, but they're both really genuine. I think Nathan's are more emotional though, which makes me to believe that she's going to choose him. That I think that the end of this episode showed that his reaction to the thing Elizabeth, it kind of goes back to the title, honestly, Elizabeth. And she's gonna have to wrestle with that. So like overall, like what do you think this ending scene means for the future?
It's so hard because I know they want our emotions to kind of rise up and down with us kind of thinking, oh, she's leaning towards this one, or she's leaning toward this one, or she's saying no to dinner to both of them because she doesn't want to encourage either of them. They kind of want us to be on this up and down, up and down. And like we've already said in the past, I'm kind of ready for it to not be that roller coaster anymore. I'm kind of ready for her to settle into a new relationship and have that father figure for little Jack, and that husband for her that she, obviously wants, you can tell. So.
Yeah, and I think that Nathan, I think, is more ready to be a father.
Yeah.
And that's an advantage that he has, in my opinion.
Definitely.
So,
and the hard part with Lucas is, will he truly want to stay put in Hope Valley? Because Elizabeth seems to be pretty grounded there. But, Lucas, I'm not sure because he's a big city guy. And although Elizabeth is a big city gal, but her heart's definitely there in Hope Valley. So will Lucas's be as well.
And one more thing to mention, Robert decides to ride a horse and he runs away with it, and Elizabeth stops him, which I don't necessarily think was needed. I mean, good scene, like I think that they shot it really well.
And it was funny, and it almost seems like he's kind of vying for some female attention from some of the girls, so he was showing off. So yeah, that was kind of funny.
Yeah. But I think that it does mean a little bit more, and like like him, like the the kids, Allie gets a lot of like more like the center kid now, but like they're still able to like restore back. And like Robert said last season, he wanted to become a Mountie, and he decided he didn't want to because of all that hard work, but. They might resurface. They might circle back to that, maybe.
Yeah, one
I
day.
think we'll just have to wait and see. Overall, good episode. Didn't necessarily like it as good as the premiere, in my opinion, but we'll be back next week to talk about season 8, episode 3. So yeah, thanks for watching the studio. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on your post notifications to know. Thanks for watching, and bye.